fantastic new book called Hitchcock and Herman, The Friendship and Films That Changed Cinema. I think that's the correct subtitle. And it's magnificent, and the film that you're about to see this afternoon features a score by the great Bernard Herrmann, and you're going to learn a lot more about it right now because I'm bringing up the fantastic Stephen C. Smith. I just want to preface this by saying Stephen and I have been friends for quite a while now, almost as long as I've been doing this festival. He talked me into doing he did a biography of Richard Widmark back
1999.
For A&E in 1999, and I was lucky enough to participate in. I think that was when we first met, and we've been doing stuff ever since. We have a few surprises in store, in fact, that you'll learn about later this year. But let's talk about this film right now. How many people know about the star of this movie, Larry Krieger? And a few. A very fascinating story. If Larry Krieger did not die young, we may never have met Vincent Price, because they were both at 20th Century Fox, and Larry Krieger played all these creepy, heavy roles. He was the lodger, which was a big surprise hit, and then they tailored this movie for him. It's what I call a gaslight noir. And if you don't think that noir films can take place in like Victorian England and things, then I'm afraid you must assume that film noir is about the clothes. Because I can tell you, if this movie was transposed to Los Angeles in the 1940s and they were playing jazz instead of music hall compositions and things, it would be a hardcore noir, and everybody would agree on that. When Larry Krieger was cast in this film, it was his great desire to be a leading man. He wanted to be like Tyrone Power, his stablemate at Fox, but he was very big, over 300 pounds, and he had to lose weight very fast to make this movie, which is a tragic story in and of itself. The film features Fox's most beautiful female star, Linda Darnell, as the temptation to our hero, Harvey Bone, and that's the character that Larry Krieger plays. But the greatest thing about this film is its score by Bernard Herrmann. Okay, that was all preamble. Steve, take it away.
What a nice setup. Thank you, Eddie. Well, yes, imagine that you're a composer and you're approached by 20th Century Fox and told, you're not just going to score, we'd love for you to score this film, but if you do that, we actually want you to write an entire piano concerto to be written before the film, and we're in effect going to make the film around your music. This film was made 10 years before Hitchcock and Herrmann started working together, so I think of this as kind of a proto-Hitchcockian Herrmann score. But it's a few years after Benny, as he was known to friends, had already established himself as one of the top composers in the film business. He'd come from New York, he had Orson Welles' great radio shows like War of the Worlds, he wrote music for the concert hall, but starting in 1941, he was scoring movies, starting with a little movie called Citizen Kane. Imagine that as your first film project, which he and his friend Orson approached with absolute confidence. He got an Oscar nomination. He didn't win because he lost to himself for his second film score. So Herrmann really, immediately was recognized as a major voice in cinema. And fortunately, the head of 20th Century Fox, Alfred Newman, not to be confused with Alfred E. Newman, that magazine I knew first in my life. But Alfred Newman had very good taste in composers, and he invited Herrmann to come from New York and score a film if there was one that Mr. Herrmann thought was good enough. Well, he clearly thought this was good enough, and he loved writing what became the piece he called Concerto Macabre. And for those of you who've seen the movie more than once, because the first time you'll just probably be taking it all in, for those who know this movie a little bit, listen, because the underscoring has little pieces, little fragments of what will ultimately be the piano concerto that is performed in its entirety in one of the most, I think, thrilling cinematic captures of music, certainly concert music, ever created. Herrmann was a tough critic, but he was thrilled with what was done with his music in this movie.
And it really is, it's based on a novel by Patrick Hamilton called Hangover Square, obviously. And it's interesting because in the novel, our hero is a blackout drunk. Something I warned you last night was going to be a common theme in this year's thing, but instead they changed that a little bit in this film to get it past the production code and make him a little more sympathetic a character. I don't want to give away too much, but the Larry Krieger story, the tragedy of it is that he never actually lived to see this movie because he got his stomach stapled to help him lose weight. He took a lot of amphetamines. He went on such a crash diet that he literally crashed. His entire system went down and he died. I think he was 29 years old, I think, when he died. And that really, I don't mean to trivialize this in any way, but it really did sort of open the door for Vincent Price.
Oh, absolutely, they were in the same roles.
Instantly got all the parts that were earmarked for Larry Krieger. And George Sanders is also in this movie playing the typical George Sanders role. And it's just tremendous. John Braun, the director, just does a magnificent job with this film. If you like the shadowy chiaroscuro of noir cinematography, you're going to get it in major doses in this film. So, any last words you want to share about Bernard Herrmann?
Thank you. Very briefly, in 1945, when this was released, a 15-year-old New Yorker went to see it. His name was Stephen Sondheim. He loved it so much that he went back to see it a second time so he could memorize as much of the concerto as he could. He wrote a fan letter to Bernard Herrmann, and Benny wrote him back. And many years later, Sondheim wrote Sweeney Todd, as he later said, as his homage to Bernard Herrmann. So without Benny, we might not have Sweeney Todd.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was magnificent. Buy Stephen's book because it was really tremendous. Enjoy Hangover Square, and I'm sure you're intrigued about Anatomy of a Murder later this afternoon after that great trailer. Okay, enjoy the show.
What? Did you buy his book?